All right, here we are. This is Friday, May 10th. We have for you today the word for you today, and they give us a passage from the book of Matthew today. The passage comes from Matthew 5:29. I'm going to go ahead and read it for you. It says, "Now if your right eye is causing you to sin, tear it out and throw it away from you. For it is better for you to lose one of the parts of your body than your whole body to be thrown into hell." You know, I love playing basketball, played all the way through high school and college, played basketball in college, intramural. But imagine a basketball team that only played defense. I mean, they guard the basket to the best of their ability. They aggressively check every man that comes across their side of the court over to their half the time. They block any attempt that the other team makes to try to score a basket. But they never go on offense. What do you think would happen? Well, more than likely, they would lose every single game, is what I would guess. And even if maybe, possibly, they could perfectly protect their basket for an entire season, there's a chance maybe they wouldn't lose the game, but guess what? They would still never win. Okay? So like this team, too many Christians always are living their lives on defense. They avoid sin, at least the really bad ones, right? Quote, the way we put it. They aren't necessarily bad people. However, they aren't all that good either. You see, Jesus wanted to get his disciples' attention. He wanted to let us know that sin is horrible, sin is dangerous, and it has consequences. It affects and inhibits our relationship with God our Father. So he used a language that really is there to shock us to some degree. And he's helping us realize that we must deal with sin in our lives. We must deal with it seriously. We must get rid of it from our lives. And Jesus emphasized that sin, he tells us sin comes from the heart, and it affects and causes actions on the outside. So obviously, Jesus is not speaking here of us maiming ourselves and cutting off parts of our body. I mean, he obviously went to great lengths earlier than this to show that external changes really don't create any type of what we'd say lasting changes in our life. So I really don't believe that the Christian life is meant to be lived in avoidance of sin. Rather, it's intended to be lived in abundance of love and obedience and purity. See, both the Bible and Christian history are populated with people who lived their Christian life to the fullest. Now, in order for us to do that, Christ desires us to live, he desires us to live proactive and victorious. I don't believe that just saying no to sin is the way to avoid it. I believe pursuing holiness, that's the way. Pursuing holiness is when we aim at God and we draw near to Him. Then we get a better view of His holiness. Holiness is not a spiritual token that we build up through just trying to be good. Instead, holiness, purity, it's a quality of character developed in us through our relationship with God. So I was never really a talented artist. My idea of sketching was basically what we call tracing. That's what I enjoyed. I was able to trace things. That's when you take a blank piece of paper and you lay it over an image. Then you carefully trace a new copy of the image beneath it when the lines are shown through the blank paper and you can see the picture underneath. Well, I think pursuing holiness is a lot like tracing, pursuing purity. It's a lot like tracing when our life is laid over, with a blank page laid over the model of Jesus. And when we see those lines that don't match up to His lines, then we start tracing. We change the lines to match Him. You see, the Holy Spirit transforms us so that we can begin living the same character as Christ and the purity and the holiness that He had. So Christian purity is rooted basically in the vision of the holiness of God, in His grace and His power, His love. The pursuit of holiness is not mostly about rejecting temptation, but it's about pursuing and embracing the holiness and the purity of God. So as we draw nearer to God, our hands are further cleansed and our hearts become more deeply purified. So I read about a violent storm that happened one night and a large tree, which had over the years had become a very stately giant. It was found laying across a pathway at a park. Nothing but a splintered stump was left. But closer examination showed that it was rotten all the way through the entire base of the bottom, all the way to the core. Why? Because of tiny insects. Tiny insects have eaten away at its heart. The weakness of the tree was not brought on by the sudden storm and the sudden gust of wind. No, it began the very first moment that the insects began to nest inside the bark at the base of the tree. And I think that's the way it is with many of us believers. It's not just saying no. It's with the Holy Spirit's help that we are able to guard our purity. So what we are deep inside, when in our private recesses of our lives, you see, that's what God cares most about: purity, single-mindedness, and the courage to go all in with God. That's when this makes sense in our lives, and that's when we can live out the purity of God that Jesus is talking about here. Hope you guys have a great day.